Sorry about the fan noise in the background. It is 1 million degrees exactly in this room. I found out something about myself doing that past YouTube video and then doing this one. I am scared to death of this camera, which is weird because I'm a musician. I've played hundreds of shows. I am very much into public. Like, I have no problem even in person, any of that kind of stuff. But the camera, for some reason, frightens me. So I'm not wearing these to try to be cool or whatever. I couldn't do that if I tried. And I know it comes off as douchebaggy to some people, but it's a buffer for me. It really does help. I guess that's weird. I have this bizarre anxiety with the camera because I've always been an audio guy. You know, I've never had to do camera stuff. And it scares me. I don't like the camera. But you gotta face your fears, you know what I mean? And if putting on a pair of sunglasses and looking like a potential doofus is what you gotta do, then that's what you gotta do. But, you know, see, the reason why I made this video is because I've been seeing a lot of YouTube videos and I guess self-help kind of things about you got to learn to downplay your ego and to just bury your ego and stuff like that. Well, I've always said that when it comes to ego, especially as an artist, I believe in the death penalty. I want to tell you a little story. It's not a story about getting lucky. It's a story about showing up the right way over time. And I think a lot of aspiring artists can relate to this. I ended up in a position where I can open a local gallery on my own and essentially make it my own gallery, even after hours. I'm not saying that to brag or, again, to be all cool and stuff. But this should be a lesson to people who are aspiring artists. It just came from being reliable, easy to work with, and not making things about the ego. And honestly, it started in the most unexpected way when somebody didn't show up. See, as a requirement for the first gallery that I signed up for, that surprisingly, which still blows my mind, that actually looked at my art and said, okay, which I still don't believe that actually happened, but it did. But anyway, one of the requirements is you have to sign up as a docent, which means you work at that gallery for shows run about 3 months, and then you have to work 3 days there at the gallery. Just volunteer to work there, which is one of the requirements to display there, among a small membership fee. And it's totally worth it because you get to, you know, they always partner you up with somebody to work on the buddy system. So you're always meeting other artists, and it's really, really cool. And how this all happened was one day my partner did not show up. And I sat out there for way too long. And instead of panicking, I called the owner and explained the situation. Now, because I had built up a decent reputation there, the conversation went way differently than I expected. That trust led me to being given the responsibility to open the space on my own whenever I wanted to. And that's such a huge thing for me because this is an art town. It's a downtown gallery. This, you know, there are God knows how many dollars worth of paintings that are in there. It's a gallery that has a lot of respect. It's been around for a long time. And I was given key code access to it. And again, I'm not saying this to brag or come off as whatever. I'm just telling you what losing your ego does and how it can help you. Nobody handed me this because I was the most talented artist in the room. It came from being consistent, respectful, and easy to trust over time. And that's how you have to approach these things. And I've even read books and seen YouTube videos and watched shorts about people like walk into that gallery like you own the place. These are your peers. You need to immediately treat them like your peers and blah, blah, blah. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing. And it's better to come off as somebody who's respectful and receptive and somebody who has given their ego the firing squad. You don't want to come off as, well, a guy only on a second YouTube video who's wearing sunglasses and you don't know why. It's not to look like that guy, but you have to let your attitude speak for you. Even if you have to have a social buffer and you look like a complete idiot with sunglasses on indoors, in overcast weather, in a dark room, with lighting. But you have to let your attitude speak for you, right? And if you got a crummy one, they're going to smell that before you walk in the door. And it's not just about that either. People don't just remember your work. They remember how you act when things are going well, but mostly when things are not going well, when things go wrong. Like a gallery that needs to open and there's people waiting outside and your partner just totally forgot to put that day in their calendar and you're the only one that's scheduled to work there that day. And instead of or volunteer, I should say, and instead of throwing a fit or freaking out, respectfully calling the management, but you have that reputation behind you where you're always asking questions and you're super respectful to everybody and you take notes when they train you on how to use the cash register and what to do here and what to do there. Take it seriously. Because your reputation is built in the small moments, not the big ones. And I don't care what anybody tells you. Reputation is everything. It is everything. It is the most important thing that you have is your reputation. Your reputation will get you jobs. It'll get you opportunities. It'll open every door for you. Your reputation is everything. When I first started things like the register, I obviously made mistakes, big ones. I even got a couple calls from the management. Hey, Billy, you're supposed to do this, right? I didn't pretend like I had it all figured out, which is some advice that you're going to see out there. There are people that say this. Pretend like fake it till you make it. What about whatever happened to just being humble in situations like this? There are situations where you should fake it till you make it, yeah. But when you're new to the art community and you've been given an opportunity to display your stuff and you're really early in the process and you don't really know much, lean into that. I asked questions and adjusted. A lot of people have paper thin views of themselves, like they don't have a thick skin at all. It's almost translucent. You got to get rid of that. You want to be an artist, you're not going to survive with a thin skin. Go up to these other artists and be like, dude, how did you do that? Like, how are you able to blah, blah, blah? What do you think about composition? Like, how are you so awesome? And you'd be amazed at the answers that you hear and what you'll learn. Instead of getting defensive, I stayed open to learning new processes. And the willingness to be corrected actually built more trust, not less. And the amount of advice that goes contrary to that from people that say that they want to help. And I've said it before. If you're anywhere online and if you're even getting good advice and somebody at the end says, okay, now, if you buy my course, run for the hills. I mean, it's this easy. The willingness to be corrected will build a lot more trust. I showed up to meetings whether I was selling anything or not. Whether I was getting a check that month or not, it didn't change my presence. I showed up to every meeting out of solidarity to support these other artists and to learn and to see what everybody else was working on, to clap while other people got their checks. And that's, seems kind of contrary to what you would think. It's like, well, I'm not receiving a check this week, I'm not going to show up. It's not 100% about that. People, you want to sell your art, but you want to act like that. People buy the artist, they don't necessarily buy the work. And your humility has everything to do with that. I think people noticed, well, let me put it this way. People notice when you're there for more than what you can take. You dig what I'm saying? People notice when you're there for more than what you can take from them. And not just in galleries. If you don't develop a need to serve, you're already cooked. I've published 40 novels. Seriously, I've published 40 novels. Go to my website, it's in the description. And buy my course. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, but you know what? I've published way more for other people. I've made small independent films with people who just wanted to be creative. Consistency builds credibility in a way that short-term effort never will. And that will weed out about half of the artists out there. It'll separate the chaff, you know what I mean? Because that's not how people like to be these days. It's got to be done now, and there has to be a quick scheme to get this done, and I need to see results now. It doesn't work that way. Consistency, always showing up. And people will notice that. I mean, I wasn't just sitting in the room at the gallery. I helped where I could. And not just at the gallery. I developed a want to serve. And I say again, if you don't develop that, even in your personal life, get used to that. Make that a skill along with your art. If you don't do that, you're screwed. Might as well stay at the 9 to 5. Forget about art. Do it as a hobby. But if you want to do it as a serious deal, you got to develop a need to want to serve others. Your dream should be to be a success as an artist, not so you could get the admiration and everybody talking about you and all the money and stuff like that. Your need needs to be what my need is. I want to be a successful artist, and I'm not ashamed to say that anymore. I used to be. But I want to be a successful artist so I can give more and more often. It has to be genuine. Yeah, it's not to sell stuff or get my name out there. It has to be genuine. I've even officiated weddings. I'm serious. You got to show up for your tribe, your friends. It's relationships that will help you thrive. Tearing down chairs, setting up, helping new artists feel welcome. No ego about what was my job and what wasn't. And I've heard stuff like that before. Those are the artists who don't last even a couple weeks. And then they are the ones that make the Reddit posts and the blog posts about how there's too much gatekeeping in the art world and this and that. Well, you're the same cat that said you wouldn't put up chairs because it's not your job. I see that a lot. I mean, no ego. The people who move things forward are usually the ones willing to do those small little bits of work. And then look what it did for me. It ended up giving me access to an art gallery that I have no business knowing the key code for. You know what I mean? I'm not a charter member. I'm not even on the board over there. I'm just some dude who walked in and wanted to display his work. But I built a reputation. I've seen how ego can quietly block progress in artists. The moment you believe you're already above feedback, go home. Because you've stopped growing. Doors open for people who feel... Let's say this more eloquently. Let's say doors don't open for people who feel entitled to them opening. They open for people who are easy to work with and consistently improving. And if you tell yourself, well, There's some pretty impersonal people, artists who are very, very successful, and artists, who blah, 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 blah. If that's an excuse for you, dude, you got problems. And seriously, that's ridiculous. And all of those artists, they're polishing the brass on the Titanic. It's going down. It's just a very slow process. I have somebody in my family, not going to say who, but I have somebody in my family who has a lot of ego about their art. And you know what's interesting about that? This person's been painting, drawing for over 50 years and has shown zero improvement. None. Has never grown as an artist. From 50 years ago to now, it looks like doodlings on a high school notebook. But you ask this person, oh my God, they are the greatest artists that ever walked this earth. And everybody else is just a jerk because they don't get it. There's this expectation that success should just arrive because they feel like they deserve it. And you think that this person is a great white buffalo. Now, I've met a lot like this. Like I said, there's members of my own family who were like this. People who even went to the same gallery that I ended up at. And I didn't go there for a long time because I kept hearing stories about how big of jerks they were and how gatekeepy they were and how cliquey they were and stuff. And I was like, oh, shoot, I don't want to go there. And then curiosity got the better of me. And I found out pretty quick that the reason this family member was saying that was because they weren't constantly being praised. I should have known better. It's interesting. It's really interesting. Over time, nothing really changes in their work or opportunities. And these are the bitter ones. The attitude hasn't led to growth, just frustration. And then they point that anger at the industry. You know what I mean? And the lack of humility, I'm telling you, artists are like bees and dogs. They can smell it a mile away. Being, I don't like how they smell fear. I'm convinced of that, by the way. Being humble doesn't mean thinking less of yourself. It means staying teachable. That means understanding you're always in progress. The people who last in creative spaces are the ones who can adapt, who can roll with the punches, who can bob and weave and keep their precious little ego intact. The ones with the thick skin. It's kind of funny, the ones who always thought that, oh yes, I've arrived. That's the definition of flash in the pan. They don't last very long. Skill matters, yes. But reliability opens doors faster than talent alone. And it even acts as a buffer for your talent. It even enhances your talent. What talent you do have when you're reliable and you show up and you're at this gallery and they call and they say, hey, someone forgot to bring one of their pieces. You got an extra one? Or, hey, someone, whatever. They want you to come and say the toilet's clogged. Mop a floor. I don't care. They gave you an opportunity to show your stuff to the world. And yeah, you're paying them back by doing your gallery fees or whatever. Be somebody that, I'm not saying be a doormat. I'm just saying be somebody that they can depend on. Somebody they remember. And make it genuine. Skill matters, yeah. But reliability opens doors way faster than just your talent on its own. People want to work with those they could trust under pressure. And artists have more pressure than... Once you get into the professional level with it, it's nuts. Your attitude in these small situations determines your opportunities in bigger ones. The Almighty is not going to put you in charge of a lot until he sees that you can handle a little bit. It's rarely, if ever, just one big break. It's a pattern of behavior being recognized. I didn't get access to this gallery because I demanded it. I got it because I earned trust over time. And that's something anyone can build regardless of where they start and regardless of their talent. I think it's as important as learning how to do what you do. Get good at that. And that's something, like I said, anyone can build. The question isn't whether you're talented enough, it's whether people trust you enough to teach you how they do it or to give you those pointers and not openly sabotage you so they don't get, you know what I mean? So they don't invite someone with a toxic attitude into what they do. That's what actually moves you forward. So just food for thought, okay? Says the guy who is wearing the sunglasses for absolutely no reason. It's weird because I have like zero anxiety. I can go play a concert in front of, at one point, 1,500, 2,000 people. I play the drums every weekend live. I do my shows. I've made films, all this crazy stuff. But for some reason, when I have a camera right here, and I'm talking about open things like this, I don't know. For some reason, I get really weird. And I stutter a lot. I can't talk. But when I have these on, I don't know. It just makes me feel way more comfortable. I actually, which is interesting to me, I found out that I am actually frightened of that camera. You like my mug? Anyway, I'm rambling at this point. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And yeah, check out my website in the description below if you want to see some of my art and my other artistic ventures and what have you. The link to my $7 million course is in there. What's the course about? How to buy an expensive webcam and only shoot in black and white. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you later. Have a good one.